there's this really strange and kind of uncomfortable story in the book of Genesis. It's about Noah. Right after the flood, he gets drunk, and one of his sons does something that leads to this incredibly harsh curse. And on the surface, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But what if this awkward family drama is actually a hidden prophecy, a story pointing directly to the cross? Well, let's dive in and take a closer look. All right, so here's the setup. The flood is over. Noah, the hero who saved humanity, the guy called righteous by God, is now in this moment of just profound human weakness. He plants a vineyard, drinks the wine, gets drunk, and passes out. He's completely exposed and vulnerable inside his own tent. And then what happens next just feels like a massive overreaction. I mean, think about it. Ham sees his father's shameful state, and he goes and tells his brothers about it. That's the action. And for that, Noah wakes up and unleashes this devastating generational curse. The punishment just seems to completely dwarf the crime. So yeah, this leaves us with the two big questions that have stumped people for centuries. First, why was a penalty so incredibly severe for just seeing something and talking about it? And second, why is Ham's son Canaan the one who gets the curse? It just, on the surface, the story doesn't seem to add up at all. But maybe to really get this story, we need to look a little deeper. What if this isn't just about a messy family fight? What if it's a profound foreshadowing of something way, way bigger? The key here is to look past the literal events for a second and see the spiritual reality they might be pointing to. And this is where a whole new layer of meaning just opens up. Let's compare these two images. On one hand, you have Noah's nakedness. It's a perfect picture of the helpless, shameful state of humanity because of sin. But then you look at Christ's nakedness on the cross, and it's completely different. He is willingly taking on all of our sin, all of our shame, so that he can redeem us. There's actually a name for this way of reading the Bible. It's called redemptive history. It doesn't mean we ignore the literal stories, not at all. It just means we see stories like Noah's as signposts, as arrows, all pointing forward to the ultimate story of salvation in Jesus. So through this lens, the story isn't just about Noah's family anymore. It's about all of us and our deep need for a savior. Okay, so let's put on these redemptive history glasses and go back to the three sons. Suddenly, their actions aren't just about a family squabble. They become these powerful symbols of the two different ways humanity can respond to the reality of sin and shame. And this table just lays it out so clearly. You've got Ham's approach. We could call it a humanistic or worldly view. He sees the failure, and his response is to expose it, to mock it, to publicize it. But then you have Shem and Japheth. They act in faith. They understand that shame doesn't need to be broadcast, it needs to be covered. Their response is all about reverence, grace, and restoration. The Bible gives us this incredible detail. They walked in backward. It's such a deliberate, careful action. It shows this profound respect, not for the sin, obviously, but for the person who has fallen into shame. It's this perfect physical picture of what grace actually does. It covers our shame without staring at it in judgment. So now, let's get to the curses and blessings. Looked at through this lens, Noah's words are no longer just some random angry outburst from a guy with a hangover. No, they become these powerful, prophetic declarations about the spiritual destinies that flow from these two completely different ways of dealing with sin. So that curse on Canaan, it's not random at all. It's the natural outcome of Ham's worldview. By mocking the need for a covering, his descendants are prophesied to live as slaves to that very shame, a servant of servants, trapped in bondage to sin. It represents the spiritual dead end for anyone who scoffs at God's offer of grace. But then, in stark contrast, listen to the exact wording of Shem's blessing. Noah doesn't just say, "Hey, blessed be Shem." He says, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem." That phrasing is everything. It's tying Shem's actions directly to a unique covenant relationship with God himself. I mean, this blessing is absolutely monumental. By calling the Lord the God of Shem, Noah is prophesying that the entire plan of redemption for the whole world will come through Shem's family line. And as you can see, this is the line. It goes from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all the way down to Jesus, the one who provides the final, ultimate covering for all sin. And don't forget Japheth. His blessing is just as mind-blowing. Because he also helped cover his father's shame, he's blessed to be enlarged and to dwell in the tents of Shem. This is a stunning prophecy. It means that the salvation that's coming through Shem's line was never intended to be exclusive. It was always going to expand and bring the Gentiles, the non-Jews, into the family of faith. So what does this thousands of years old story actually mean for you and me today? Well, it means this isn't just ancient history. It brings us face to face with the exact same choice that Noah's sons had to make. How are we going to deal with the reality of shame and sin? We have a choice. We can respond like Ham. We can expose sin, judge it, gossip about it, or maybe just try to pretend it's not there. But as this chart shows, our own human efforts, they always fail to truly cover our shame. The other option is to respond like Shem and Japheth, to accept the covering that's provided by faith, the perfect righteousness of Christ that actually works where we fail. And really, this is the heart of the whole thing. On the cross, Jesus endured the ultimate shame, the ultimate nakedness, the ultimate exposure. He did all that so that we, who were spiritually naked and ashamed like Noah, could be clothed in his perfection and be healed. So that leaves us with this final question to really think about. The story of Noah's sons isn't just an old story. It's repeated every single day. It happens in how we react to the failures of our friends, our family, and even how we react to our own failures. The choice is always right there in front of us. Will our response be to expose and mock shame, or will it be to graciously point to the only true covering that really exists?